And so I would say that was one of the things that made a huge difference in my life and helped shape me, because what I learned in that is that if you're actually willing to put in the work, personally, it's not dependent on anybody else. If you're willing to put in the work, you can control your outcome. And so I became a fanatic. I was one of the original gym nuts. And you know, we were fortunate to be in a community where there was former Mr. Americas and stuff of that nature, which I really looked up to and thought that's what I want to dedicate myself to do. But I didn't have the means. My folks were struggling financially. They were trying to put my brother through college, and I didn't want to be a burden on the household. So I said, I'm going to go out and learn a trade. I was too young to be a fireman. Those are the people that I saw that were in the gym. They were either firemen or they were hairdressers. I was too young to be a fireman, so I said, well, I'll go ahead and I'll become a barber. And I did. And, you know, spent 7 months on Skid Row. I think that's where they used to have barber schools. Kind of learning the trade. But, you know, what I realized really quickly is that, and it allowed me the independence to be able to move out from my parents' home. I was 16. And really kind of make my own time. And all I was looking for was really time freedom to be able to work out up to 40 hours a week. And I was obsessive. But the experience is that about 2 weeks into the business, because I was on a salary, it was just commission. I realized that, you know, I had two hands, they could only move so fast. Yeah. And so my income, if I really wanted financial freedom, was going to be limited. And that was back in the days when it was buzz cuts and flat tops for guys.
I know what that's like.
And haircuts, if you believe this, were like, you know, it would have been great about this. It would have been. So, I think what I learned in that profession really helped me through life. I mean, first I learned to connect. I learned the importance of developing a clientele through relationship. You know, how to get out of your comfort zone and talk to people and really start to, you know, find out what their needs were and how I could help them, you know, achieve that. But I was also fortunate because I saw a trend, and that was that men's hairstyling was in its kind of infancy. And I thought, well, rather than get $2 a haircut, I could get $10 a haircut. That would be a good thing. And so I started as kind of a pioneer in that. And what I also realized that if I could teach other people how to do what I did, that I could really exponentially increase my output and really gain more time freedom to do the things I wanted to do. And so that was, I'd say, you know, one of the real lessons that I learned early on that has really helped me throughout life. That, you know, you're only as good as the people you can surround yourself, but more importantly, if you can empower those people to be more than they thought they could be, that you can open up not only potential for them, but for yourself. I was then actually recruited by...
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, let's hear it. Yeah, absolutely.
I was recruited by a family that were really kind of pioneers in the fitness club industry. And that was my passion, and their business model was having women's only figure salons. They didn't sell memberships, they sold programs to produce results. And they asked me to join them because they had seen what I had done. I had 7 barbershops at that time. And said, why don't you come and play in a bigger arena? Well, you know, as a single guy, to be able to work with all women, you know, hard bodies in the fitness club industry, I said, I'm in. And but they were tremendous mentors for me because they really were pioneers. And we actually took that, you know, initial locations that we had. We ended up with over 50 locations throughout the Western United States. And I saw, again, the power of duplication, of really creating a business model that other people could follow that could really expand, not only where you could reach more people, but you could have a greater impact in serving others. And the other thing they did is they gave me an opportunity to go to Europe. We transitioned from the fitness club industry and said, how can we reach more people? And so we decided to develop exercise programs that people could use in their own home. And we had exercise equipment that people could use. So like when you see TRX and PX90 and stuff like that on TV, we were doing that 35 years ago. And it wasn't TV, it was basically we used mail order advertising. And so they gave me a budget, sent me to Europe, and said, go make it happen. And so I was 23 at the time. And it was just a great opportunity because that's where I got to learn really about business, about supporting not only marketing, recruiting of staff, building an infrastructure. We used to average about 10,000 orders a day. So everybody go, woo. That's a lot of traffic. And so it forced me into, I spent 8 years in Europe, opened up numerous countries, lived in Switzerland, lived in, France, spent a lot of time in Germany, was based out of England, so I can really appreciate what Eric's going through right now. What a great city. But, everything you do in life kind of prepares you for the next chapter. In fact, finally we were very successful over there, and I remember having a conversation with my employers and said, look, I'm making a lot of money for you over here, but I could make more money for you back in the States. Because, what I learned, that was before the, European Union and every country had its own regulation, and it was really more complicated. And I just thought, to work in a population of 300 million people in the US, you could expend probably less energy and produce a greater result. And it was my idea, said, because everything we'd done was an exercise, but we recognized that we are what we eat. And so we got into nutrition in a big way. And we got into nutrition in a smart way because we went out and found the most preeminent scientists of the day who were making really breakthrough work. And we brought those people, frankly, into our fold to learn from them. People like Linus Pauling, people like Jonas Salk. I mean, these are giants in the industry. And we came up with, at that time, it was the world's first meal replacement formula. It was really the predecessor to the isoline shake. And we had 8.5 years of research behind it. We collaborated with some doctors that were doing pioneering work. And we introduced it mail order because that was our business. But what we saw is people were getting results, but not as many people as we felt the products warranted. And so the family came to me and said, Jim, develop a business plan that allows people so they don't have to rely on the post office for their food. And coming out of the fitness club environment, what I recognize is the reason people would come to our facilities is not because they didn't know that exercise was good for you. They do. But they also needed to know that they wanted to be in an atmosphere of support. How many of you agree it's easier if you're partnering with other people to change your lifestyle? So I said, if we can combine this lifestyle program with a coaching system, that would make sense. And I grew up kind of in the Bay Area in California. And that's where some of the pioneering, that's where some of the pioneering companies in our profession, started. Companies like Holiday Magic, companies like Shackley. And I was always fascinated by the business model because I had a lot of customers who were in that profession, but I'd never really done it myself. So I said, I'm going to study this and see if it really makes sense. This is the alternative. And so anyway, make a long story short, we launched that company in 1980. That was my first foray into network marketing. I developed a compensation plan. I developed a strategy for recruiting our leadership. Was kind of executive vice president, kind of what Kathy's doing in terms of helping to oversee the sales and marketing of Isogenics, and now obviously what Travis is contributing to. And in our first 23 months, we did $1 billion in sales. So I guess you could say from that moment on, I was hooked. Because when I saw the transformations that people were going through, both physically and financially, the culture that we had kind of created, the hope that we had given back to people. Not only was it a personal journey of growth to try and support, we were the fastest growing company in American business history at that time. We started at the same time as Apple. And I mean, literally, we were growing at 100% a month. And we had calculated that in another 20 months, we would have been bigger than Exxon.
Wow.
But I guess you could say, and we actually became a victim of our own success. And that was a lesson as well, in terms of being able to navigate and be able to support, a growing organization in a highly regulated environment. I think were lessons that were incredible. And I think two of the most important things that happened to me during that time is not only did I validate that this is the industry that I wanted to play in for the rest of my life, but I also met Kathy at that time, which, has been the best thing that's ever happened in my life. So, so much of what you do kind of prepares you for, but I guess my takeaway is that if I look back at it, it was all about trying to be at the leading edge of new trends. Whether it be with hairstyling, or whether it was be the workout craze, or whether it was be, really nutrition, whether it would be network marketing. But it really came down to that. Also, I think also recognizing that if you really were going to be successful, you had to help other people to be successful. And it was all about duplication, empowering other people to be successful. And I learned the importance of building world-class teams. If you want to be successful, and all of you are CEOs of your own company, your key is going to be to find yourself the best talent, people that have skills that complement your own, and then just pour your love into them, pour your belief into them, and just, grow together, because that's what it's all about.
Wow. So, let's hear it. Yeah,